So what we're going to talk about is BLF here a little bit. So with the busy lamp field showing who's on what call, where, so generally how it works and how to kind of get it unstuck, and what happens when it gets stuck. So let's say we've got 3 phones. And we've got Mike, Larry, and Vicky. So, and each one of these phones has a BLF for the other 2. So we've got a BLF for Larry and Vicky, and Larry has Mike and Vicky, and Vicky has Larry and Mike. Now, so the initial state is that for some reason Vicky is showing up on a call to both Larry and Mike. She's not on a call. Her phone is just sitting there. Her BLF is stuck. So a couple things that you can do on the OnSIP side. On the OnSIP side, we keep simplified version of it, but we keep a database that shows the state of everyone. So we have Mike, we have Larry, we have Vicky. Now, we send messages down to the phones only when the state changes. So if she goes from, and the states are terminated and ringing and connected. So we have 3 different states. Terminated, the light goes off. Ringing, the light blinks. And connected, the light goes red. And that's it. And those are what are called notify messages. So we send notify messages down to the phones, and you can see this in the SIP trace. We'll send notify messages down to the phone, and we will say which user it's to. So it looks a little like the standard SIP message. So this is to Mike, and it'll be from Vicky, and it will say what her state is. So when her state changes, we send notifies down to everyone. But only when a state changes. So on our side and on our database, so the user Mike is in terminated mode, Larry's in terminated, and Vicky is actually in terminated mode. But it's not showing here. Now, a couple things that you can do. So maybe for whatever reason that notify message just didn't get down to these phones. So they're still stuck in the last message that these 2 got was that Vicky was on a call, so that she was connected. So it's the last message they got. So to Mike from Vicky, connected. And for whatever reason, they never got the notify message that she's now terminated. She's now not on a call. So there's a couple different solutions. One is to reboot this phone, not the Vicky phone. The Vicky phone isn't the problem. The problem is these 2 phones. So the phones that have the bad status, those are the ones that you would want to reboot. Now when you reboot, you send up to us a subscribe message. And you say, hi, I'm Mike. I want to subscribe to the status of Larry and Vicky. We respond and say, okay. And then we send down Larry is terminated and Vicky is terminated. And then, boom, the little light goes away and so as long as our state is correct, if you reboot, you only do this subscribe and update on the initial reboot, sound like, here's the initial state, and then after that, we get notifies only when the states change. So on the reboot, I want to subscribe, and then we give what we think is the current state of all the people that you're subscribing to. Larry does the same thing. Great, the Vicky goes away. Now, let's say you reboot, but
Okay.
yep. But always, the good rule of thumb, always try to do a soft reboot. So do it through the menu as opposed to yanking the power. You're going to get, everything's going to be a lot cleaner. It's going to be a lot cleaner doing it that way. So now let's say we think Vicky's connected. So for whatever reason, we never got so Vicky was on a call and we saw she was connected. And when she hung up, for whatever reason, our BLF status, this is our BLF status table, never got the fact that she disconnected. Now there is a call ID 5F2C or whatever. So you see the call ID in an invite. So there is a call ID here, because you can think about some of the scenarios. Larry takes a call, and so he goes on a call, and then puts that call on hold and calls somebody else. Well, now he's on 2 calls, and then he gets rid of that call, so that call goes away. He gets the bye, but he's still on the other call. So we can't just, this BLF status thing, can't just look at bye messages. Oh, bye means he's not on a call anymore. Doesn't. We have to look at, okay, that was the buy for, so Larry would be on 723D and 8295. So 8295 we get the buy for, but he's still on this other call. So he's still in connected mode. So it does get really complicated. And there's a lot of different states we have to keep track of. And the fact that you have a phone on your desk, plus a phone on your laptop, plus an app on your iPhone, just for each individual user and all those applications and all those multiple calls you can be on, and transferring a call and a blind transfer and intended transfer and all that, it can get very, very complicated to keep this state. And for the most part, we do a really, really, really good job of it. But for Vicky, she's not on a call, but our system says she's still connected. So we do a reboot and we show Vicky as still on a call. So in case number 1, we showed Vicky on a call. She's not on a call. We did a reboot and it actually cleared it because our table was correct. Case number 2, we do a reboot and our table isn't correct. She's still showing as connected. One thing you can try then is having one of these people, or really anybody, call Vicky, get her on a call, specifically get her on a call, and then get her off a call. At that point, when she's off a call, we actually try to do a little bit of cleanup to see if she's still on any other calls. Like, oh yeah, she's not on the. So then she would go on this new call, all right, for B2C. And then, so she's connected and everyone would show her connected. And then this call would hang up and we'd actually go and look and try to, oh wait, she's not on this one either. So she is now terminated. So we would send notifies down to Mike and Larry that Vicky is now in a terminated state, and that would clean it up. Mm-hmm. And then if that still doesn't do it, then the last resort is to call up Eric. He can go into this database, check her status, and manually flip her to terminated. I don't think that then turns around and sends notifies. I'm not positive on that.
You still have to call the
yeah.
user.
So it doesn't.
But
so that's
then a
good.
reboot would work.
So either A, a reboot, or B, better, just call her. Just call her, and then that will actually change the state, and that will actually send out notifies. So that's easier than going around and rebooting all the phones.
So if he says, okay, cleared, we probably should turn around and call the user.
We should probably call her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, and then that would send notifies down, and then you'd be cleared. So one of the things I've seen is that when Vicky is the problem, people are telling customers to go and reboot Vicky's phone. Vicky's phone isn't the problem. We need these new subscribes to come down to everybody else. Yeah. So if Vicky's the one that's showing on a call and she's not really on a call, that's not the phone to reboot.
Well,
yes.
I think the prudent thing would be to call the affected frozen first
Yes,
before having 6 or 7 phones rebooted.
absolutely.
Right.
So call
Absolutely.
the user that might just clear it.
That might just clear it.
Is there any
Do that
truth
first.
to overnight any sort of cleanup? I've heard people
Yeah,
say
okay.
overnight.
There is. So we go and we look at this table and like, oh, Vicky, we show Vicky is on a call for 24 hours. Probably not. And we'll just go in 8 hours?
Yeah.
It's 8 hours.
All right.
Yeah.
So 8 hours, probably not. We go and we manually throw her into terminated. I think at that point though, we will go through and send notifies to everybody and actually do a cleanup on that.
And if we did go to have Eric clear it,
Mhm.
and then call the customers for problem phones, or have them reboot all phones, and they still claim that it's still lit, is there any possibility that that's the case if they have complicated?
You can actually do a SIP trace. So you should be able to see. So he clears her phone, and then you call her phone, right? When you call it, you should see the notifies that she's in the ringing state, and then when it either cancels or better yet, she picks up and then hangs up on that buy. As soon as that buy goes this way and comes back here, we will send notifies to all of these phones to Mike from Vicky that she is now terminated. And you can see it. And the best part is the phone sends back an ACK. So you can actually look at it. So you don't even have to take their word for it. You should be able to see that we're sending down to the phone, she's now terminated, and the phone is responding, okay, acknowledged. When it's in that state, the light goes off. So if you don't see that message, and so the one I had where it was
H or HN.
yeah, those guys. The notifies, our database was the problem. The notify was coming down that they were still connected. So
If there's an account that has that problem frequently, is there something else going on that
Yes.
we're showing bad
yeah.
results?
So we've had 30,000 devices out there, and we do tons of BLF. This just works for the most part. So if there is a customer where this is happening a lot, either we're not getting the buy message. So Vicky goes on a call, takes her phone, rips it out of the wall, and throws it out of the window. The call is
My
going to,
solution, unplug to somebody.
right? We're never going to see a buy. We're going to try to, at some point, after a minute of no media, we're going to send a buy down to the phone. It's never going to respond because it's laying out in the curb. So that's going to cause problems with our BLF system. So if it starts to happen a lot, like that's the next thing for that one customer. But we would then have to go and look into their system and try to see what's going on. So the subscribe gets you the general state, and then after that it just notifies, and you should be able to see it in the SIP trace and be able to track it. So on one trace you're just looking at the invites and buys and actually see the calls. And on another trace, by default in the SIP trace tool, notifies and subscribes are zeroed out, but you can SIP trace just for notifies and subscribes and just see what we're sending and receiving back on BLF. So you can actually track what's happening.